standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Never raise up a white flag. Didn't come this far just to turn back. The curtains fall for the last act. Breaking that levee, breaking that levee. We don't back down. This is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. We don't back down. This is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary.
I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on a battlefield, a survivor never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shake. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive.
10 years of speed. 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Welcome back to the Full Throttle Sim Racing Cup Series presented by Mach 1 Performance, or you could say the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series, whatever you prefer, here on LSRTV. Good evening, folks. Jason Rockefeller alongside my buddy Jeremy Stanley and Charles Wooten, our guy down in Texas, pressing all the buttons here tonight behind the scenes. We're getting ready for some short track action here from the paperclip. We saw one heck of a race on Wednesday night that I didn't even get to finish because of my power going out. And it's a possibility it might happen tonight, but I hope that doesn't happen. So, and Charles has got bad storms, so in case anything were to happen to the two of us, whether it be with the broadcast or me, you already know the story. So with that being said, we're here tonight at the paperclip, Jeremy. Cody McKinney, despite all the incidents that happened on Wednesday night, was able to win the Truck Series. And we saw last year, both me and you over on Nerd TV, how caution-filled these two races were between the Trucks and the Cup Series. Do you think we're going to see the same thing tonight?
Listen, I've now broadcasted this track, I think, across 4 different leagues, including last night on Nerd TV. I called it with Dustin, and 20 caution laps amongst 20 cautions rather amongst 200 laps around this track. So, yeah, it took out half of my WrestleMania live viewing. I had to go back and watch half of it, you know, on the replays. All good there, but it's just a product of just league drivers trying to get what they can out of their cars and trucks on a really short bull ring, and you come together. And you don't get paid the big bucks. You don't have your crew members in your ear saying, hey, you need to take care of your car, or hey, we can't afford a fine. It's just, you got a virtual car, you have a bumper that you can easily replace, and sometimes it gets to other people a little bit easier than if you're in the real life situation. And it's just short track racing on the virtual world.
Yeah, and it will definitely be some hard-knuckle short-track racing, kind of like what you saw on Sunday's Cup Series event yesterday. William Byron picking up that special 40th anniversary win for Hendrick Motorsports, and always good to see Hendrick obviously perform super well. Martinsville, probably one of their best tracks, I would argue to say, if not their best track, for sure. But these guys are getting ready to start qualifying here. We're already about 20 seconds in. You see Ben Tracy there on the racetrack. Here's your Hunt the Front TV race information. No fast repair tonight, like always. 100% fuel load. Looks like the fuel run will be about 140 laps, but that will not come into play unless we get that long green flag run in the final third stage. But I doubt that will happen, so we'll have to see. 5 sets of tires, 3 green, white, checkered attempts if necessary. 250 lap race. or 2 hours. And we'll talk about that here in just a second, because that is going to be something that could be key here tonight. Stage breaks are at the ends of lap 50 and lap 100. And Jeremy, I'm sure that Charles put the or 2 hours in parentheses there, because we almost ran out of session time here on Wednesday night. They had less than an hour with about 80 laps to go to complete the race, but somehow, some way, they were able to do it. And with this race being 50 laps more, it's a possibility that it could happen.
I know Brody Hanna well enough to know that mistake going to happen once. It probably ain't going to happen again. So I'd imagine they adjusted the times. But, you know, there's always that miscalculation on the calculator trying to figure out how much money to put into each session, because it does cost physical money per hour. So not much, but it's enough for them to kind of hunker down and not waste it per se. So yeah, that would be interesting if they came down to time here like it is a road course style event and not so much like a NASCAR style event. But might be something these drivers have to look out for later tonight.
Yeah, and if the time limit were to be reached, I believe that the scenario is that they will throw the white flag on that lap and then the race will end. I believe that is how it goes. It has not happened to me in nearly 2 years. Last time it did, I was calling the PRL Truck Series over on Race Spot TV with Terry Radford, and we ran out of session time for that Truck Series event, and I think that's how it went. There's Jamie Knopp, though, just qualifying there in the Team Conti machine for LA Motorsports, currently sitting 5th on the board, while his teammate goes up to the top of the charts with a 19.229. That's Daniel Simmons in the number 06 machine. A few drivers to not qualify right now: Wayne Grossi, Bartel, Crowell, Chandler, Torrey, Hanna, Acosta, Blackner, Duranka are the only ones who have not made any lap time so far here, with just less than 2 minutes remaining about to happen here. Jeremy, who do you think is the one to watch out for here tonight? Because we've seen a lot of drivers on the short tracks be really good. Nathan Bigart has been the hot commodity recently in this series. Jamie Knopp, Daniel Simmons have been strong week in and week out. Then you can't forget about Fury Motorsports. I mean, who do you think's the favorite here tonight?
I'm going to say the number 24 car. It's hard for me to go against him. He's so good. I know I watched him his first race later in 2023 at FTSR, and mid-pack, kind of up front, and then each and every single week just got faster and faster. He won last week on a short track, and here we are on another short track. So I feel like that number 24 might be the way to go for your best pick tonight.
I'm going to go with Nathan Bigart. He's going to be starting second tonight if this clock runs out and nobody else qualifies, because he will be starting second. Again, Jose Acosta, Jeremy, your pick has not made a qualifying lap, so it looks like he's going to be starting back around the 20s per se. But Nathan Bigart, remember, won at COTA, absolutely dominated pretty much, almost led flag to flag, won the 2 stages. Last week at Richmond, ended up winning both those 2 stages, but got beat out in the end by Richie Coy and Jose Acosta, who picked up his second victory of the season. That was a really fun race to call there. Really interesting. Usually you would kind of see those races get really long and strung out towards the end, but and it's what it did. But we still had enough time to where these guys could really get grouped up and show who was stronger on the long run portions. And Jose Acosta was able to do just that, picking up his second win of the season here. And he's a driver to look out for tonight, Jeremy. You mentioned, he's your pick. Remember, won Richmond just last week. He led 105 laps in that race. Finished second here at the end of the season 1 year ago, leading the most laps with 137. So he very well could be the really, really good pick tonight. Nathan Bigart, like I mentioned, points leader, finished third at Richmond. He led the most laps with 145, which was pretty much his race to lose. So we'll see how our 2 picks go here tonight. Qualifying is wrapping up. Daniel Simmons will take the pole tonight with a 19.229 over Nathan Bigart in the 01 machine. And Jeremy, we're getting ready to go. Short track racing. Let's give you the starting lineup for tonight's Martinsville 250. Here we go. Row number 1. It's going to be Daniel Simmons, Nathan Bigart on the outside in the 01 machine. Row number 2, you'll find Joseph Rojava and Colby Mice with an outstanding performance in qualifying. We'll see where he ends up here tonight in the number 9 machine. Row number 3, Jamie Knopp in the 48 machine. Colton Gum with a great effort there in the number 10 machine to the outside. Row number 4, Richie Coy, so strong on the short tracks. Could have won last week. We'll see if he can take it tonight. And Kyle Milliken in the 42 machine. And top 10, Row number 5, Ryan Hedrick in the 47, and Brian Bliss in the number 3.
Next up, 11 through 20 is going to be Bill Hull there in the 51, and then to his outside in 12th is Brian Dublé in the 37. Next row back, Sherwood Williford in the 33 with James Walls to the outside of the number 67. 15th and 16th will be the 35 of Ben Tracy and Tony Solari. And 17th and 18th, it'll be Dave Nestor in the 36 and Joshua Johnson in the 57. And then the 19th and 20th spot belongs to my pick, Jose Acosta on the inside. And then Nerd Motorsports driver Jeff Chandler, 31 and 20th.
Row number 11, Wayne Grassi, a driver who had some strong performances just last year. DJ Bartel alongside him in the number 98 machine. Row number 12, you'll find James Torrey, Interior Motorsports driver Michael Blackner in the number 22 machine on the outside. Row number 13, Alan Duranco, Brody Hanna, who's the defending race winner here 1 year ago from 2023A. We'll see what he can do here tonight. Row number 14, all by his lonesome self tonight, Alan Crowell in the number 54, and that will be your 27-car lineup here tonight from the paperclip in the mountains of Martinsville, Virginia, getting ready to do probably about 2 pace laps, I'd say. And Brody Hanna, Jeremy, we talked about how he would not stand, and he is one of obviously the admins, one of the owners here in this series, and he does not put up and does not tolerate a lot of stuff and funny business that happens on the racetrack. We saw a lot of that on Wednesday night. I'm sure he wants to try to clean that up, and in fact, he was so mad about Richmond last week, he elected not to start. He just did not like the car, and right now he's not showing up on the grid, so he is going to be starting from the pits or just will not make a lap. Oh, and he's not racing, so there you go. So Brody Hanna will elect to, I guess, get the provisional for that 1 point, I suppose he'll receive here with that 27th place finish already. But Jeremy, this is going to be a really interesting race. I'm really interested to see, since last year, how these next-gen cars handle. I know you talked about lots of cautions you guys saw in last night's event. It's going to be interesting. I'm ready to see what's happening.
Brody, you can't get better and you can't like the cars more unless you actually hop in that driver's seat and turn some laps, man. We can get you on these short tracks here where we can. And my pick, Jose Acosta last week, remember he did not qualify, dead last, 27th place. And he passed every single car to come to victory lane. Now he's in 19th. I think get the job done. Expect early cautions. You're going to see some great racing, but you're also going to see a lot of bumping and banging. I would not be surprised if we saw a caution in 10 laps. Here we go in the Geico restart zone. Green flag. Daniel Simmons with a nice little jump over the 0-1. Nathan Bigart. And to turn number 1, Nathan's going to try to keep that second lane rolling for him. To shift over the bumper camera, he does make it clear 2 and 3 wide off of turn 2.
And you see Jose Acosta looks like he's going to be dropping to the back right here off turn number 2. Lots of drivers going way wide through 3 and 4. You saw Brian Bliss, Kyle Milliken, a couple other drivers as well, but they make the first lap green and complete with no incidents whatsoever. Battle going on for 4th right now. That's between Richie Coy alongside Joseph Rahava. They nearly make contact entering 3 and 4. Give it to the 19 off the corner. He's got the advantage. They head for 1.
12-19, still dead heat through turn 1, center off of turn 2, still keeping it directly side by side. Grijalva trying everything he can. He's going to utilize a little bit more tire wear doing so, and he looks like he's going to give it up. Center corner, drops it right behind Richie Coy there. They go single file down the front straightaway.
Really good to see these guys for right now, knock on wood, go single file, and not just single file, but they're able to race difficultly, or not difficultly, that wasn't a word to say. They're racing really aggressively, but they're racing really well. Doing a great job compared to what we saw on Wednesday night here, Jeremy, with a lot of cautions. I want to say we had over 15, maybe even 20-plus cautions before my power went out, so hopefully that's not a trend that we continue here tonight. Everybody gets spread out for the time being. From Daniel Simmons back to Jamie Knopf, it's about a 4.5, maybe 5-second gap back between those two drivers, so you can just see everybody getting spread out. A little bit of battling going on, though, behind Brian Bliss in the number 3 machine. You saw Dave Nestor go to the outside lane, and then that number 31 of Jeff Chandler as well in that white car. Notice that there is an issue with trading paints once again here tonight, so we apologize for that, but nothing on our end. So you're going to see some drivers and some schemes that you're not really used to seeing them, because we know, and I know for sure, that Doyle Lawrence would love to see his paint schemes out there, because he always paints these beautiful Jeff Chandler paint schemes. Not tonight, though. He's got the all-blank car tonight, Jeremy.
That thing's still looking pretty sporty, even though it's not the ghostly gray and black scheme there. A little tight pack here with Sherwood Wilford in the middle, and that Pizza Hut neon yellow/green Chevrolet Camaro. Taking a look to the inside as Ben Tracy likes to not make the pass effort. And the Pizza Hut logo, it's a newer logo / they went back to the retro logo. He just hasn't got that completely updated yet. No problem. Still looks fast, but Ben Tracy right now cleans them through 1 and 2. They go back single file on the back straightaway.
Yeah, everybody running really, really well right now. Just continuing to go single file. You saw the 36 or the 35 machine of Ben Tracy. He tried to get to the bottom there and ultimately had to fall back in line. But here is Jamie Knopf trying to run down that 51 of Bill Hull. Looking to the inside, coming off turn number 2. Looks like Bill Hull will give him a little bit of leeway, let him by, and Jamie Knopf's going to move into the 8th place position while Daniel Simmons continues to lead up at the front with a second gap.
Nice little second gap there. The dogs in your background are cheering on Daniel Simmons with an excellent drive here for the first 10 laps. And then an extra second almost between second and third. Big Art and Coy really just put on a dominant performance early on through 11 laps now. 4th place, Grijalva back to 3.3 off your race leader. So this is not usually the Martinsville race that I see, where you see a lot of single file, a lot of gapping early on at a short track. So that tells me either A, they're playing it really conservatively before stage break, or B, they got some handling issues to take care of in these cars.
Yeah, and remember too, Jeremy, compared to the real life Cup Series, where the tire wear is not really as excessive as it used to be with the Gen 6 car here. Now on iRacing, they have a similar tire wear progression system with these next gen cars, or Gen 7 cars you could call them now. But I mean, there's still that tire wear aspect. They don't nearly wear as much as the Xfinity cars and the trucks, I'd say, but they definitely do wear a lot more here on the sim than they do in real life. So tire wear could be something that we're going to talk about tonight, compared to what it was in yesterday's Cup Series race. Remember, Denny Hamlin elected to come to the pits on a green-white checker, take 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles when everybody else stayed out, and he fell all the way back from 2nd to 10th and just could not get up to the front in 2 laps. It just goes to show you that track position definitely is going to be a big, big thing here tonight, especially if we get a plethora of cautions in a row at some point.
Yeah, it could play huge. We saw multiple tire strategies in the race I called last night in the trucks. It was just like you had people on 40, 50 lap old tires. You had some on 20, some on 10, and they were all racing at the same time between their little short green flag stints that they had. So you have to play some strategy, but at the end of the day, you want to be up front when it comes time, because it's really tough to pass. You saw Denny Hamlin give up 4th place there on Sunday in real life. He liked to take tires. He fell back to like 15th and barely made any spots up. It's just tough to pass with the next gen cars here at Martinsville.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to pass here. And if we let's see real quick, Charles, maybe we can view like one of the dash cameras per se, or maybe an in-car camera from a driver, just to see if they're downshifting by chance here. You still beat Bill Hull in the 51, so he's in 4th gear right now, down into turn number 1. Staying in 4th gear, Jeremy, it doesn't look like he's ever reaching 5th gear like they do in the Cup Series, and then they downshift right about there before they enter the corner, let the car roll through the center, and then on exit, they get up through the throttle, and usually you'd see somebody shift right about here just to make sure they don't spin the tires as much. But Bill Hull staying in 4th gear, and I wonder if most of the field's doing that.
Yeah, let's keep this momentum. Let's shift up to maybe someone in the top 3 who's got a lot more speed than the 51 here. Maybe Simmons, Big Art, Coy. I'd be really curious to see if they're doing the shifting game or not, because Bill gets really loose there in corner entrance, turn there. 1. Yep, back to 3rd to 4th. He's already really close to just, the engine's so quiet entering in through the center of the corner. He's not getting the drive off exit. He might feel like the car is rotating really well, but that's because there's no power being put down on the rear tires. So I'd be really curious to see if the top 3 or top 5 are doing the shifting, and that's why they're breaking out such a much.
Oh, we got a crash. Jeff Chandler.
2. We stay green,
Jeff
Jason.
Chandler. Yeah, we stay green, and I wonder if it's because iRacing deems that as non-racing surface down there. That is heavy damage to the left front of Jeff Chandler there. Looks like he probably just got loose coming out of turn number 2. Lost the back end, around he went. And Jeff, even though he's still up 3 positions from where he started, he just lost a significant amount from his net gain so far, 24 laps into the race. And Jeff Chandler looks to be the first one with heavy damage. The good news is, though, I mean, it's Martinsville. You could drive around with that kind of damage, but the question's going to be, Jeremy, that I wonder is, did it do anything to the inside of that race car?
I mean, the carbon composite body looks pretty good, just a little separation around the hood and the front bumper line, but he looked like he's trying to make a pass on the 98 teammate, or former teammate, or TJ Bartel anyways, and I think he's good. I think he's good. He just Doyle Lawrence has to, rewrap the car, and I have to fork out some money to fix the virtual car. Outside of that, I think that car is A-okay.
Yeah, it looks to be A-okay for sure here. We've got a little battle going on up in the top 5. Ryan Hedrick, Colby Mice going at it for just a few seconds there. It looks like they've been swapping positions, but it's seemingly settled down. No, it is not. Colby Mice, though, back to the inside, tried to get the run off turn number 4, where he'll travel up the hill a tad, tried to do a little bit of a diamond maneuver off turn number 2, but he just can't get there. And here's the thing too, Jeremy, Ryan Hedrick is a driver. When we always came to the short tracks, he was not somebody you would expect, but in some way, shape, or form, he would always find himself up here at the front of this field. And I mean, he's a very good driver. He finished 10th here just in the fall last year. And then when it came here to the springtime 1 year ago, he was 4th. So he's always found himself kind of in these predicaments at the short tracks where he runs top 10, top 5 speed, and he kind of just has a quiet day, and he's doing really good right now, currently running in the top 5.
Yeah, when he came onto the scene, I think it was mid-22 or late 22. Could be wrong on that, but their team did great. They did excellent. And then 2023 hit, and they just kind of fell away as like a mid-card. They had some good, solid races here and there. They just could never pick up, consistent podiums or top 5s. And Ryan Hedrick, I think he's picked up his performance a little bit here, running in the 5th place, only 6 seconds back. And then we got a caution here for the first time this evening on lap 30. Let's see what we can't find here, and it looks like Bill holding the 51. He was getting loose, Jason, on corner entry. I wonder if that car just got a little upset.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe it involved somebody here possibly too. I think it was Jose Acosta jumping down on the scoring pylon as well, so we're going to find out here as they head into turn number 1. The 33 of Brian Bliss really sends it in there, but the 51 creates this opportunity for the 33 to kind of get to his inside, but you just can't close the door like that in the center of the corner. 33 looked like he was kind of traveling up on exit, but at the end of the day, the 51 has to be lenient and give that room to the driver on the inside lane. You can't chop him off because ultimately you're just going to turn yourself when you come to a track like this, and obviously that'll put us under the first caution of the night there.
Yeah, you can't, we're going to see another look at it here as we're going to go one lap prior and work our way through. You've got a car in your bumper, right? So you cannot give up the bottom lane like Bill Holt did. He did that. Sherwood Williford's going to attack. He has every right to be right there. And then the 50 won't. That angle's a little different, Jason.
I was
Sherwood came up a little bit.
Yeah, it does look like that. Maybe we could take one more look at that replay there just for a second. Yeah, apologies. That was the 33 Sherwood Williford. Getting a little confused here because both Brian Bliss and the 33 of Williford are in neon yellow cars here tonight. So this is a lap prior, obviously. 51 just kind of riding around. Sherwood Williford closing the gap. He's entering the corner a lot lower than the 51, less tired wear. And this is another angle. So great to see this here from the drone cam. I know Charles Wootens loves anything that's RC related, so He's got the drone cam all hooked up, but right here, I think he cut down Jeremy right there. I mean, if you watch the 33 and watch him, he's about a tire width off of that line. He didn't really budge. I just think that one angle really looked like. But at the end of the day, it's not anybody's fault, really. It's just a racing deal. But obviously, that puts us under the first caution of the evening. Nathan Bigart able to take away the race lead there from Daniel Simmons right before that caution happened. We were going to jump to it, but obviously the caution came out. You see the 24 machine there of Jose Acosta about to drop to the back here. I think he is one lap down, and hearing on his end gave us a little insight to his situation here tonight. Jose Acosta really, really being hindered here tonight due to some connection issues, Jeremy. So, you know, connections, and there he is right there, blinking out in that Wolfpack Jeff Gordon Exalta colored machine. And, man, Jeremy, it doesn't look like he's doing too well right now, man, for your pick.
Listen, he needs to come down pit road, change the blinker fluid out, and I think that car is going to be solid. So, no problem. We got tons of time here. It's over 200 laps. Just get the fluid switched out. You'll be good to go. So I'm not worrying just yet. And I'm going to go back to that wreck real quick. Isn't it amazing how you can look at 3 different camera angles and come up with 3 different results per camera angle? That incident was so close. It's definitely going to be considered a racing incident. Car came up, car came down, just a tight part of the track. There's a lot of things going on. But Jason, we're stacked up, about to go green flag again.
Yeah, and I think Bill Hull in the 51 might need some blinker fluid so he can turn on his left signal next time he comes back around here, maybe when he comes to the pits. And if you don't know that joke, you should definitely look it up if you're not a car person, because it's the funniest thing to say to people who don't know their cars. But here we go. Green flag's back out in the air under our first caution just being completed. Nathan Bigart, Daniel Simmons lead him down in the front row, and now Richie Coy has a great center of the corner. He's going to move up into the second spot, and he might be able to clear Simmons as they head for 3. Oh, Wayne Grossi sideways in front of the pack. He's going to take out Brian Bliss. The field stacks up behind him. Tony Solari gets involved. Looks like a lot of drivers. Somehow, how in the hell is there no caution for that? I have no idea.
FTSR throws no admin cautions unless, like, you see bumpers still flying on the track right there in turn 1 and 2. They don't throw manual yellows. It's all automatic by the iRacing service. And I thought Wayne Grossi was going to nail the tire barriers there on the pit entrance wall. He missed it. He finds the number 3 car. He's going to send him way up the track. That's Brian Bliss. And then I thought they had it straightened out, but then they came across and noticed somebody else in. But mayhem ensued, and iRacing somehow, someway says, you know what? You guys are good. You're staying green.
They said that they're eating ice cream right now. They did not want to.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
So, you know, the 7 machine of Wayne Grossi came into the pits right now. Maybe Charles can give us a replay here on that incident in just a second. While they all still race at the front, I don't think I've ever seen more of a caution. Because Jeremy, you best dang well know that NASCAR, if they saw that on Sunday, they would have threw a caution the second they saw the 7 going down the pit road. So here it is. And there's him coming to pit road. So there it is. He gets it right across the rumble strips. And now he's going all the way back to this is the restart. So we're coming up to the restart here. So let's take a look at this. So around him, you got the 42 of Kyle Milliken. Brian Bliss, there's the 36 of Dave Nestor, a few other drivers around him as well. And my guess here is, because what I'm interested is if he possibly downshifted and pulled out a line, and while he downshifted, the back end came out on it, because that is a common thing to happen here on these short tracks, especially Martinsville. It can even happen in Phoenix, but you see it a lot of times at Martinsville. So let's see right here. Does he come down? He does, and he starts braking. The 36 nails him, and then boom, right into the left side door of Brian Bliss. And they kept it going straight, so I guess that's why iRacing didn't deem that as a necessary caution flag and why we kept going.
Yeah, I don't know. Dave Nestor did apply the brakes a little bit late here, and then it caused that whole tire thing. Long was the, Wayne Grossi coming down. So just a really hard racing incident that took tons of people with them, and I'm still really surprised that they stayed green flag, Jason. That was a caution. Like NASCAR throws a caution if one car is 15 degrees off axis through the center of the corner. No hesitation whatsoever. But this iRacing coating they're tough to play with tonight.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that too, because remember 1 week ago, Kyle Busch just, I don't know if he just got loose or cut a tire or what, but he just randomly went up the racetrack in the middle of 1 and 2 last week at Richmond and just barely brushed the wall, and NASCAR said, put it out, caution's out. And a lot of people were unhappy with that, including myself, so hopefully they get their stuff situated, but we won't talk about that. We're here to watch some full throttle sim racing action. Battle for 4th and 5th going on right now as Ryan Hedrick tries to catch Joseph Grajava, but he is under fire from Colton Gum and Ben Tracy, who's having a very strong run tonight in the 35, already up 8 spots from where he started, and that 35 is hunting down the number 10, and Colby Mice continuing to drop back.
Yep, definitely doing that. The gaps look very similar to the initial start, where they were, really spaced out after top 5, top 10. There was a bunch of gaps, but they kind of kept a little packs here. You got 3rd or 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. They're all right next to each other, and that extends all the way to about 11th or 12th, and then they start getting more spaced out. So a little more grouped up right now. This part of the race, 50 laps in. We're gonna have 200 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, and this will also be the completion here of stage number 1 as they cross the line. Nathan Bigart's going to win it over Richie Coy by a quarter of a second here, with Daniel Simmons in second, or third rather, Richie Coy's second. 4th is Joseph Grajava, 5th Ryan Hedrick, 6th Colton Gum, 7th Ben Tracy, 8th is Jamie Knopf, 9th is Colby Mice in the number 9, 10th goes to Kyle Milken, getting that one valuable stage point here. So, Jeremy, really so far here tonight, man, just in this first stage, I wonder if the second stage is going to be different, but I'm liking what I'm seeing compared to Wednesday night.
I'm liking what I'm seeing because of we had more than 5 laps of continual green flag racing. So, really competitive overall. A couple mishaps there. One had a big one that wasn't a caution, but outside of that, I thought the racing was very fair, very strong out there so far, and that's FTSR in a nutshell right there. You can drive them, bumper to bumper. It doesn't cause too many wrecks overall.
Yeah, with Nathan Bigart picking up his 5th stage win in a row, we'll have to see if he can get 6 in a row coming up here in just a handful of moments. We're going to step aside, take a quick break, be back for the restart. Don't miss it. You're watching the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series on LSRTV.
Drag race to the line.
Welcome back. Just completing stage number 1 here at Martinsville for the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series on LSRTV. Jason Rockfeld, Jeremy Stanley, Charles Wooten up here in the LSRTV commentary booth with you all here tonight. just wrapped up having our yellow flag pit stops, obviously, like mentioned, for the completion of stage number 1. A little bit of a shake-up here as we're getting 1 to go till green here, half a lap until we do it. They might have to wave it off depending on how the field gets back to the front. It looks like they're all going to be here and ready to go. Brian Dublé, Josh Johnson stayed out. Richie Coy, Daniel Simmons able to overtake Nathan Bigart, who was your race leader and stage 1 winner. He'll be restarting here 5th. On the inside, 3rd in that row. Here we go through the Geico restart zone. Green flag's back in the air. Daniel Simmons does not get the jump he wants. Brian Dublé and Josh Johnson are going to duke it out side by side, going through 1 and 2, and Johnson might have the race lead down the back straightaway into 3.
Brian Dublé with a really shallow corner exit turn 2, able to still maintain the lead direct nose to nose at the corner exit, but the 57 Joshua Johnson has a really strong run on corner exit. He's going to bring the 06 of Daniel Simmons along with him on the outside. Going to get him cleared as well.
Whoa!
Barely, and look at the look up, and man, Brian Dublé, excellent drive to keep it off the back bumper of Daniel Simmons. We stay green. What a good race here to open up this restart.
And that was an insane move, Jeremy, by Daniel Simmons to take the lead. He just did the same thing that Richie Coy just did right now, but it was a lot tighter, and there was, like, no room. But Daniel Simmons said, I don't care. I'm making it my room. I don't care if there is none. I'll make a gap if I have to. Sure enough, he did. He goes to the race lead. Johnson and Dublé continue to fall back. As you see the outside lane working for some of these drivers. Nathan Bigart will be the last guy here that's in this top 5 to get around the 37 as they work around 3 and 4. 3 wide for a moment coming off turn 4. Colby Mice nearly goes around off the front bumper of Kyle Milliken. They file back out into 1. Oh, Brian Dublé goes around off the front bumper of Colton Gum. Going, oh my goodness,
no.
Brian Bliss up and in the air. Hard landing back on the racetrack. TJ Bartel's front bumper is gone, and that puts us under our 2nd caution of the evening.
Are you kidding me? Brian Dublé restarted this race P1, and I'm glad we're getting a whole lap back on this replay this time, because we're going to see how he just falls back. There he is, the 4th. Now he's got the 12 there, go hover to the outside. He's going to get passed up here. This is where the contact, oh, Brian Dublé locks it up again. Moves way up the track, and then, ooh, the 10 just comes through. That's Colton Gum. And then here comes, I don't know if this is ARCA brakes, but that was almost like a late reaction, but I know these corners are blind when you're driving through them, so we'll take a couple more looks. But man, what a heavy impact there. All started by just a little overdrive on Brian Dublé's part, turn 1.
Yeah, and then he ultimately just chopped down in front of the 10 of Colton Gum there. And this is, again, one more look at the replay from our drone cam presented by Charles Wooten in his Texas home from the studio. But as they come into turn 1, you'll see the 37. He locks it up big time. He's going to get in the 12 here of Joseph Rahava. He'll come right down. Colton Gum has no reaction time, and all of a sudden, everybody piles in here. And heads up driving by those who got around on the bottom. But, man, that was a heavy impact. Didn't even know right there that James Torrey, the 11 there of Tony Solar, and I believe somebody else was involved as well. So it just goes to show you. But Jeremy, I think that was really all caused. You talk about the ARCA braking, and it's not really even necessarily an ARCA brake moment as much as we all want to joke about it here in the booth. But you come around those corners, if you have somebody on your inside, you cannot see on the bottom to middle part of the racetrack on corner exit here in turn 2. Especially out of turn number 4, and it kind of is almost like the same thing with Bristol. You can only see so far in front of you until eventually you can see everything when everybody's piling up in front of you. So I think that's ultimately what caused those guys to just basically run right into the back of the 37.
Yeah, that's why I called it, and then I hesitated on actually doing it. Like, if we can get a like a helmet camera for one of these guys coming through the corner right now, we can kind of see what the drivers are looking at. So we're going to just kind of follow board here. Daniel Simmons, your race leader. We're going to go to turn 3. You got that big double A pillar post right there just to the left side. That's basically blocking everything you can find in the corner. Plus you got the inside wall. So we're going to kind of coast through 3 and 4. You can't see anything. You're still blind. You're blind. Depending on your field of view, you can't see. Then all of a sudden, bam, there's a wreck right here. And So that definitely plays a factor in why there were some late reactions in the wreck.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jeremy. And obviously, you mentioned another great point, too, with the FOV. And if you don't know what the FOV is, it's your field of view. And on iRacing, like in most video games or simulations, whatever it may be, you could change that FOV slider. And what that means is you could either zoom in your field of view or you could zoom out your field of view. I like my field of view to basically be right where I can see right in that little crevice in between the window net and obviously the A-pillar, like you saw with Daniel Simmons. But his FOV, maybe from his angle, is way different than what we see on the broadcast, so you don't know what these guys could be running. But here we go, getting ready to come back to the restart zone, wrapping up our second caution. Simmons and Coy going to lead us back down, firing out of the restart zone. It's a legal one, unlike Denny Hamlin's was. They go back into turns 1 and 2. The 19 of Richie Coy trying to pick a fight on the outside lane. Can't do it. He'll tuck in line, and they'll file out with almost 3 wide down the back straightaway for third.
Fight me, Jason. That was a legal start on both the 06 and the 11. And there's a third caution here on lap 67 as they get to the line. Looks like Mr. Johnson in the 57 is going to loop it in turn 3. I'm sure we got replays. Here we go. ATVO replay. Initial start. Going through the gears. Looks like he kind of hiccuped there for a second. Get through 1 and 2. And this is where the wreck's going to happen, right at turn 3. Here's the 3 wide. You mentioned it. This is probably where it came from. And, yep. 0. Oh, here we go. Big stack up there amongst them with the 0-1 of Nathan Biggart. Looks like you brought it out.
Yeah, and I mean, Jeremy, right there, you could probably fault both drivers. The 57 kind of came down and braked a little earlier than the 01, but it's the 01's responsibility there to take care of the driver up on the outside lane. It's also the driver in front of him, being Johnson, to take care of the guy on the bottom. You want to make sure that you can go through that, and obviously they didn't. Nathan Biggart braked a little later, went to the bottom, tried to go 3 wide. You just can't be making moves like that this early on. And look at that, Jeremy. It nearly took him out of this race. He's very lucky to get away unscathed, besides a few bumps and bruises to the car on the right front bumper and also the door. Looks like James Torrey's going to get 1 lap back here as he passes the base car. But it's very, very hard to go 3 wide in these corners for sure.
I mean, there's definitely room, right? There's a moment of time where it's okay, but corner entry and corner exit, it gets so tight, being a little quick paper clip, 180-degree corner, and you want to run up against the wall. Your car wants to do it, and then you have to throttle yourself, especially on the bottom. And on top, you can't pinch the guy down below. They're going to curb hop this and that. So it is very challenging to do when trying to go to corner entry that way. Maybe we should have backed off a little bit, but he saw the gap slightly. It was closed. He already predicted that he was going to be below him, and they all just came together there in a hurry and brought out that third caution.
Let's take a look, speaking of cautions, at the race summary presented by Virginia811.com, reminding you to dig with care here. 4 cautions so far. I thought that was our third one of the night. Turns out so.
It's the third wreck. I get them mixed up.
Yeah, third wreck, yeah. So 4th caution of the evening, obviously the other one being for the completion of stage number 1. So it technically was, I guess you could say, Jeremy, our third real caution of the night, quotations. And then 4 lead changes. We've seen, obviously, Daniel Simmons lead. We saw Nathan Biggart lead. We saw Josh Johnson lead. We saw Brian Blay lead. So I think those are the 4 race leaders we've had so far. And here's also your Kaufman Creative weather conditions, obviously. 77 degrees. 95-degree track temperature is about 113 at Martinsville yesterday, and 11-mile-an-hour wind speed, mostly cloudy, and obviously that sun not being casted over behind the moon like it was today. If you caught the solar eclipse, I'll tell you what, that was a pretty cool thing to see. Won't have one till 2044, so... Oh, there's my solar eclipse. Thanks, Charles. So I guess there it is. Charles had to do it. Now, Charles, put the sun back on. We got to have a full eclipse. Put the sun back on for me. Look at that, folks. You didn't miss it. That was basically what it was like today, except you couldn't even look up at it. So here we go. Coming to the restart zone. Daniel Simmons, Richie Coy. Let's try this again. Green flag's back out, and Coy gets an exceptionally good start. Oh, and he almost overdrove turn 1. He's going to open up the door again for Daniel Simmons. They fight off turn number 2 while they're side by side, and the field scrambles back behind them in the back.
Yeah, about 4th. Oh, here we go.
No!
The lead. Oh, we got a turtle on the backstretch. Michael Blackner with the 5-something-4-7, bunch of numbers on that car. We got one turtle there. We had Daniel Simmons, your race leader, spin out in turns 3 and 4. There's a bunch to kind of digest and go over as well. Right there, you saw that massive start hiccup there by somebody. And here we go. There's the spin out there. Michael Blackner's clear, no problems. Oh, and then the 9 just comes up as Colby Mice. And physics is not 101 with that wreck right there.
Yeah, that kind of almost reminds me of a NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour wreck. If you've seen some of the New Hampshire races over the past few years, there have been quite a few flips similar to what the 22 of Michael Blackner just did. And I believe that puts us on the 1 flip counter for the year so far. I can't recall any other times we saw a flip. But obviously the 9 of Colby Mice just completely loses it right in front of Jeff Chandler. 22 clips the right front fender, gets up, crawls over the wall, and then obviously the one driver back behind him, that was the 54 machine, that's Alan Crowell, got up underneath him, turned the 22 upside down. And Charles, real quick, if we could take a look, obviously the 06 of Daniel Simmons went around battling with Richie Coy for the race lead there, heading into turn number 3. Simmons loses it, he falls back to 7th now. So I guess you could say, German, that caution probably really saved him.
Yeah, there's going to be a caution regardless here because he did spin in front of the entire field, and it looks like too much rear brake bias. It just kind of kicked the car sideways on braking, and he saves it, but I think there's enough degree of spin for iRacing to maybe throw that caution, but regardless, he got one because of the massive pileup plus turtle there on turn 2.
Yeah, and you see him now trying to clean off those tires, knowing that he probably more than likely flat spotted them, but obviously the physics with the tires only goes so far compared to the real world here on the virtual sim, so he tries to clean those up. Richie Coy is now the race leader over Nathan Bigart, who's found himself back up in the top 2. Remember, he led, won the first stage, now running P2 after restarting 5th at the start of stage number 2, so we'll see what he has here for the 19 of Richie Coy. These were 2 guys who were trying to battle with Jose Acosta last week. They weren't able to get it done. And obviously Jose Acosta went on to pick up his 2nd win of the season here in FTSR. And Richie Coy, he's had an eventful season as well. In fact, his only win was back at Phoenix, where we all thought, went off the air, thought, oh, Jose Acosta won this race. Turns out he did not. Had a couple penalties. And obviously he was disqualified, and Richie Coy was handed the victory that night. So Richie Coy would love to get to victory lane based on a real win here, Jeremy. But we're going to be coming back to the restart here. A couple guys up in the top 5 as well. Jamie Knopf 3rd, Grahava 4th, Colton Gum your top 5 with Tracy, Milliken, Simmons, Wallace, Hedrick completing your top 10. Wrapping up this caution, getting ready to come back to the Geico restart zone. Green flags back out in the air. Coy fires out of it. He's got Jamie Knopf right on his back bumper heading for 1 and 2. Knopf travels up the racetrack a little bit, almost opened up the door for Colton Gum. They're side by side, both Gum and Grahava as they head now for turn 3.
Top 3 single file. You got 2x2 with the 12 and the 10 here, 3 wide off of turn 4 there with Kyle Milliken in the middle. Looks like they're going to escape turn 4. They head back into turn number 1. Top 3 still single file. They're still 3 wide here, going through 1 and 2. Looks like on 2 sections of the track. And they break it down to 2x2 finally here. The 47 of Hedrick gets around Kyle Milliken in the 42 through turn 4 here. Single file between these 2. And the top 5 was still within 1 second of each other.
And I tell you what, Jeremy, I'd probably bring out my inner Larry Mack from the 2000 and I believe it was the 2007 All-Star race. Remember when Larry Mack said that infamous call with Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch battling going into 1? That ain't gonna work, boys! And all of a sudden, went around, I believe it was. It was either that race or it was some other race, but I'm usually pretty good with my broadcasting knowledge when it comes to those things, but that's one I'm trying to remember. But I think it was that race. So yeah, you can't really do that. We talked about the 3 wide. We saw Nathan Bigart get into a driver earlier on and take him around. That was the 57. I believe it was Joshua Johnson. I'm not too sure, can't remember. But sent him around after a 3 wide situation. So it is, again, very hard, very tough to go 3 wide here. And kudos to those guys for not taking one another out.
Yeah, big kudos there. Could have had another big wreck, and fortunately we did not. And when it comes to knowledge here in the real life stuff, I'm not going to question you because you know way more than I do. You retain it better. So if you say it, I'm probably going to follow you to that pond there for some water. So yeah, just really strung out here on this restart. 84 laps in now, scheduled 250. And after that initial start, they have really just kind of single filed it out, driving it pretty conservatively, except for if you're the number 12 of Grajava here, getting right up on the back bumper of Jamie Knopp in the 48.
Yeah, they battle now going down into turn number 1. Whoa! Big shot there from Joseph Grajava to Jamie Knopp. Sends him up the racetrack. And look at that. The bump and run is back on the sim. And Joseph Grajava tried to go to the bottom. Could not make the pass. Jamie Knopp able to hold that spot while Daniel Simmons tries to work his way back up inside this top 5.
Little battle here going to turn number 1. This is the 6 of James Torrey and the 3 of Brian Bliss. Continue to be side by side through corner exit turn 2. Brian almost makes some contact with James Torrey. And late break into the corner there for Brian. Almost makes it stick entirely. But on corner exit here, he's going to have a great chance to get clear. James Torrey not going to let it up. They're going to still stay side by side through turn 1 and 2.
And while they stay side by side, Jeremy, I have some information. It was the 2009 Daytona 500. Oh no, Brian Bliss! I can't ever say something without something happening. Brian Bliss up into the wall in 3 and 4, still rim riding it practically like Ross Chastain. That car definitely has some sort of toe link broken or something. It is barely turning through the corners now, and Brian Bliss probably going to have to come to pit road here, Jeremy.
ATVO replay is going to showcase what happened here in turn 3. Side by side, this is for 2 consecutive laps now. And, well, it looks like a racing deal there. The 3 came down for the corner entry. The 6, I don't know if he moved up a little bit. It kind of did. And they found each other. And huge disappointment. Oh, Ben Tracy gets a wicked loose off of turn 4. He's able to save it as well. But huge heartbreak there for the 3-car Brian Bliss.
And he's made his way down to pit road, currently out of the car, letting it be serviced. We'll see if he ends up coming back on the racetrack. Oh, big lock up there from Sherwood Williford in the left front. Nearly ran to the back of the 35 of Ben Tracy. Acosta almost got into the back of Williford while he was locking up the left front tire as they work around 1 and 2. Acosta hot on the heels of Williford here off the corner. He's going to work to the inside while Tracy works around Milliken in the 3.
Good little battle here on this portion of the track, just around the 10th place position. And Kyle's not willing to give it up just yet to Ben. He's going to run it wide on corner entry, and he's going to take it from that time. So they're going to go single file, and also Jose Acosta gets around Williford. And now big dive bomb here by James Wallace. Almost gets to the back bumper of the car in front. Oh, no! 33 of Williford with some tire spin. Ball's going to keep him in line. We stay green.
Despite the incidents we have had here tonight, Jeremy, I cannot applaud these guys enough for comparing what they did on Wednesday night to what they're doing here tonight. I know we've had a few cautions, but we have not had nearly as many as what we did at this portion of the race just back on Wednesday night. So big round of applause to all these drivers. You see Grajava just barely scraped the wall exiting turn number 2. We're coming up to the end of stage number 2 here in just a few laps. The battle for the lead could be shaping up here pretty soon. Richie Coy's got about a 3 to 4/10 of a second gap over Nathan Bigard. Nate just closed a ton going through 1. It's all the way down now to 2, so he gained 1.5 to 2/10 in 1 to 2 corners. Bigard hot on the heels of Richie Coy, this time by the line. 4 laps to go in stage number 2.
And this race is, this could change here. These guys are running nose to tail for a good chunk of stage 2, and we'll see here. You see the brake rotors glowing more on the rear side of Richie Coy. I don't know if you can see that on your end, but just a lot of rear braking to get these cars to rotate. That seems to be the way to go. You see it right there. There's a good shot of it glowing hot red as he comes to corner entry. But Nathan's closing that gap a little bit. We're going to come to 2 to go at this line, and still battling for 10 points there for the stage win.
Yeah, and if Nathan Bigard can get this, this would be his 6th stage win in a row. So you can only imagine he wants those valuable points. and he has been extending that gap more and more as the weeks have gone on here as they approach the 1 lap to go signal from Barney the flagman for the stage win here. Next time around, it's going to be Richie Coy leading over Nathan Bigart here with 1 lap to go. And Nathan Bigart, points leader over Daniel Simmons and Richie Coy by 73 points. And this would obviously put Richie Coy probably above Daniel Simmons. You see Nathan Bigart tried one last time in 3 and 4, but Richie Coy is going to pick up stage number 2 with Bigart second, Jamie Knopf in third, Simmons fourth, Grahava fifth, Colton Gum will be sixth, Ryan Hedrick seventh, Tracy eighth, Kyle Milliken and Jose Acosta will round out the top 10, and that is your caution right now as they just complete stage number 2 with Barney the flagman throwing that yellow piece of fabric up in the air for these drivers. And they're going to work under the caution here, Jeremy. So the 19 has some speed, but with the 01 and how good he is on the short run, I could expect him to maybe get around this 19 here, but we saw during these pit stops last time, the 01 lost.
The 01 lost something as we lost you there, and coming on pit road here, a little gap there between the 19.01. I would expect almost every single buddy, if not every single lead lap car to make their way on a pit road, and then their lap down cars, which are 18th on back, they'll come down the second time around pit entrance to get serviced by their virtual crew members. And let's see who gets the battle off on the pit exit here.
Yeah, we're going to see who wins it right here as you see Richie Coy taking 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on the number 19 machine. Will he beat out the 01? Can the 01 maintain or gain the race lead here? Richie Coy fires out of the box, and it looks like the 12 of Grahava is going to beat him out of the pits, but Nathan Bigart with an excellent stop. He'll be able to retake the race lead there for the number 01 machine. So while these guys get wrangled back up behind the pace car, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back to the start of stage 3.
Years of speed, 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Welcome back to LSRTV's coverage of the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series. Just wrapped up stage number 2. Nathan Bigart has the race lead and a change in the pace up at the front. The 2 leaders on the front row have elected to take 2 tires under that last caution. Everybody else was able to take 4, so we'll see what happens. Green flag's back out. Outside lane stacks up a little bit. Bigart fired out of the restart zone. Great. Richie Coy will work to the inside of Joseph Grahava off turn number 2 while everybody tries to gather it back up. And Simmons moves up to the 4th spot, clearing his teammate Jamie Knopf as they head for 3 and 4.
Not sure the call to go for 2 tires. If you're going from stage 1 to stage 2 or stage 2 to stage 3, that's fine. But if you're going to take the end of stage 2 to make the 2 tire call, which, by the way, that guy on 4 tires is now right behind you. You have a lot of work to do now. There's no more guaranteed cautions, which it's Martinsville. You might be able to get that opportunity, but it's not guaranteed. And now the guy right behind you has 2 better tires than you do. So it's just going to be a really tough pace from Nathan Bigart to hold and maintain as these laps are going to break into the 50 and 60 lap part of the run, where Richie's a little bit faster, plus with fresher Goodyears. I think he's in the preferred setup right now.
Well, also, Jeremy, if you remember in yesterday's Cup Series race, Joey Logano enabled to take 2 tires before one of those restarts and was able to hang on almost for the stage win. Oh, as Jamie Knopf goes way up the racetrack in 3 and 4, taps the wall. He'll lose a couple spots, falls back side by side with Jose Acosta. And while they battled, like I was saying, if you remember, Joey Logano pitted, took 2 tires before one of the restarts and was able to hang on almost for the stage win before he ultimately wasn't. So I would only assume, Jeremy, on this long run portion of the race, if we were to go green, I mean, they're going to have to pit one more time. That's going to happen. Have to. Unless we get a plethora of cautions, they're going to have to pit under green flag circumstances. I don't see these 2 tires working out for Nathan Bigart, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, if he can prove me wrong, excellent. I want to see an epic race between those 2 right now for the front. Contact. Kyle Miller, and he's going to kick it sideways, a 90-degree drift.
Save it!
There it is. The 5th or 6th caution, I guess, technically this night, with that 42 slideways, and he's still loose. But now, does Nathan come in, or is he going to just sit there in P1 after getting those laps on those tires?
I think he's going to stay out right here. I think the more caution laps he has, the better, but obviously it gives Richie Coy an opportunity onto the restarts to fire off well and try to rotate through those first lap or 2, the first couple laps on the restart. So we'll see what happens here. I just don't think it's going to play out for Nathan Bigart in the long run. Heck, it might not even pay off here on this restart with how old those tires are on the left side here. So the 42 Kyle Milliken goes around, and obviously great save by the 42 to not hit anybody or anything there, Jeremy. That looked like it was going to be a pile-up possibly going to turn 1.
Yeah, that could have been much worse. Could have drove up the track. If he didn't hit somebody, he could have hit that wall. Squared with the nose. Could have done a lot of things, but looks like you see the 51 Bill Hole. Looks like he's going to take his wave around and put him 18th on the boards on the lead lap. But, yeah, that could have been way worse. Great lock up there by Kyle to keep it on the lower half of the track, not sliding in front of anybody, and well played.
Seeing a few takers come onto pit road this time. Looks like Wayne Grassi, Alan Crowell, and Joshua Johnson will come to pit road this time by here under the caution. Let's take a look real quick at the Virginia811.com race summary from Martinsville here tonight so far. 7 cautions, 31 caution laps in total, and 6 lead changes here tonight. And that's your Virginia811.com race summary, reminding you to dig with care always. I know as our Wesley Outland will say. And if you want to catch Wesley here and myself and some more racing action, right after this we have round number 3 of the Northwest Racing Truck Series from Las Vegas. Should be a fun one, obviously, with the Truck Series being somewhat of a drafting track, but you still got to be a smart driver there. Had a great race there last year. Should be a great race here tonight for those guys here. But these guys still got to finish up, Jeremy. We talk about the 01 of Nathan Bigart being on those 2 tires. Richie Coy has the 4 fresh good ones. I mean, do we think that there's anybody else who could battle with them, though, at the front of this field, possibly for the win?
If it's not the 01 or the 19, it's tough to say. Maybe even the 12, but the Nathan and Richie right now are just putting on a great show amongst themselves for the lead. My pick, Jose, has finally cracked inside the top 10 after having some connection issues and some handling issues, finding himself P8 up 11 spots on the scoring pylon. So, I mean, I can't say for sure if my pick is going to be the way to go, but he's finally approaching that top 5. So I can't count him out just yet, but right now it's the 01 or the 19 in my boat.
Yeah, I agree with you. It looks like the 01, the 19 looked to be the class of the field. But again, you mentioned Jose Acosta. We thought he was going to have issues once he told us He actually said it in the YouTube chats on our broadcast. He said that he was having connection issues and might cost him the race tonight, or at least even just in general, finishing it. So we'll see. With a few cautions, maybe a few good moves, he can find himself up at the front here as we're getting ready to come to the restart zone. Green flags back out. Nathan Bigart and Richie Coy lead them back to 1 and 2 here as they go into the corner. You see Kyle Milliken trying to work his way back up as they come through 3 and 4. They battle side by side. You see Acosta trying to go to the inside. Kyle Milliken trying to put it 3 wide for a second there. Wasn't able to do it. He'll fall in right behind that number 33 of Williford, while Richie Coy overdrives turn number 1.
Big mistake there by Richie to quickly give up a couple of spots there to the 12 of Grijalva and the 06 of Daniel Simmons, who's recovered back finally into the P3 spot here. Oh, Grijalva, they're really loose and he's gonna pinch up the 47 and 19. Looks like they're going to make it unscathed, but that's even going to push Richie further back. Troubles with the 19, already back to 6th or 7th place here is Ben Tracy now looking to the inside.
And you see Jose Acosta having that connection issue, blinking in and out. We'll see and monitor that issue for the driver of the 24 machine. Hopefully he can make it the rest of the way. And imagine, Jeremy, if he were to win this race with the issues he's having here tonight, because I know he's got to feel like he's driving on pins and needles. I know they usually say walking on pins and needles, but he's driving on pins and needles because it's almost like at any point that connection can just disappear and he'll go offline.
Yeah, he hasn't got it all fully taken care of just yet, but he's feeling confident enough in it to where he can compete right now, right? Because he's currently sitting 7th on the board right now, up highest spot all night long, and he's continuing to move forward as we're seeing now the 11 almost getting tagged by the 57 in turn 1 and 2. Focus back now to the Richie Coy, the number 19, playing the recovery game, sitting in 5th place. We know he's got the car to be 1st or 2nd, but now he has to pass a couple of really fast cars. And look at this, the 47. We talked about him early in the race being 5th place. He's sitting at P3 now, podium position for that 47, doing a hell of a job. But here comes the 12 trying to look on the inside.
Yeah, and Joseph Grijalva's doing a great job on those 2 tires. And the same can be said for Nathan Bigart. We didn't think it was going to work possibly on that restart, but it has worked for the both of them. Joseph Grijalva fell back a few spots, gained a few back, and now finds himself in 4th, currently in front of Richie Coy, trying to run down the 47 of Brian Hedrick, who is just doing such a heck of a job, Jeremy, like you had said. Oh, whoa, we got one car spun on the front straightaway. Oh, my goodness. Oh, no, and Richie Coy is up and into the wall in turn number 1. How has the caution not come out? I have no idea. This just costed Richie Coy this race. Bill Hull stopped in front of the field on the racetrack. Jeremy, that has got to be an iRacing coding error.
Yeah, 1,000% there. He spun it. Yeah, we're going to kick it back a little bit further, but he spun it. He got going, and then he spun it again. And, yeah, that was pretty impressive stuff. iRacing definitely should have thrown the caution. I think as an admin, maybe I would even have thought about throwing it. But you see the loop here. He locks it. He's great. He's like, okay, nope, we're stuck. We're going to back it up here. And then track clear, and yup, right in front of everybody. You saw the quick, evasive maneuvers everyone else made, except for Richie Coy, a little bit later than some others. Too much rear brake in that setup. Not looking to he just couldn't make the corner, making that evasive maneuver there.
And that is just such a heartbreaker for Richie Coy, the driver who we all thought was probably going to possibly, arguably win this race tonight. Falls all the way back to 13th with heavy right front damage on that 19 machine. He'll definitely need a caution to probably come in and pick up some damage repair from the crew. And more than likely will not find himself back up at the front of this field unless something happens. And I mean, Jeremy, right there, when I made that call coming off turn 4 and we were talking about them with the 47 of Brian Hedrick, and then all of a sudden I saw Nathan Bigart just jolt to the left side. I was like, oh my gosh, he just got loose. And the next thing you know, you saw Bill Hull's 51 Phoenix Racing Machine just sitting on the outside against the wall. Listen, we talked about earlier how that one incident going into 3 and 4 with Brian Bliss and others as well, was probably the biggest. That should have been a caution moment we've ever seen here on the service. I think now that 51 said, hold my beer, hold my victory fuel, and obviously ended up just, I don't know what to say, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, we should be underneath caution. There's no doubt about it in my mind, your mind, everybody's mind. Like, that's a crazy thing to happen. But you know, we gotta just get what we got. So Coy back to P12, almost 7 seconds back. Oh, his teammate Tony's Larry, heavy contact to the right front after getting wicked loose.
Oh,
that right front's broken. We're gonna do the Hail Melon style corner, almost there, up against 1 and 2, and no. He can't get down, and Brian Dublé nowhere to really go. Maybe could have turned down, but and he's missed the pit entrance. Crazy set of events that are going on right now in Stage 3.
Crazy. Let's just see real quick here if the 11 can get back to pit road, because the leaders are coming very, very quickly. I think I just heard the engine blow in that thing, but I'm not too sure. Yeah, I think I just heard that engine blow completely, and oh my goodness, what a turn of events for some of these drivers here tonight. The 11, the 24, the 19, a lot of drivers who have had some instances here. There go the leaders. They're going to pass the 11 of Solari, who finds himself going back down pit lane. That's probably, Jeremy, ultimately going to end that 11's night.
Yeah, it's a required 8 minutes. At least from the original release of the next-gen cars, when you broke the toe link there, it was required 8 minutes. I'm assuming it's a roughly the same time frame still. So he's on pit road for a little bit to get that thing serviced. Definitely out of any contention to be on the lead lap at the end of the race. But we have drivers that are 46 laps down, 19 laps down. Those, you can kind of come out of pit road and be okay to maintain your spot. So you might resume this race 21st, 22nd after the repairs are done.
Yeah, very, very heartbreaking scenario for a few drivers, like we mentioned, the 11, the 19, other drivers as well who've had some sort of issue here tonight that may have not even really been the cause of their doing. So we'll have to see how some of them come back. Richie Coy already picking up some spots despite the damage. He just moved up inside of the top 10, moving up to 8th now, passing Kyle Milliken, Colton Gum, James Wallace. So he still has some speed in that 19 machine, Jeremy. I just don't think he's going to be able to get back to the front by any means whatsoever here, as they just continue to run single file with Nathan Bigart leading over Daniel Simmons here by 0.6 of a second on lap 142.
Yeah, decent lead there for sure. And just kind of looking at the scoring pile, we got 2 within 1 second, and you got a 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, 7 second. So I'm seeing some gaps starting to really form, especially after that Bill Hull incident on the front straight. Oh, the 48 really locks it up there. Jamie Knopp almost tags the back bumper of my pick, Jose Acosta here. This is for 6th and 7th. And outside of that, you see the spacing on the track. Every single car, for the most part, has at least 2 car links. And, you know, we're a little bit over halfway in this event, lap 144 to schedule 250.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep on going right now. You see Jose Acosta in the number 24 machine trying to see what he can do despite the connection issues tonight. Running in that 6th place spot, Jeremy, up 13 spots. We mentioned give him a couple cautions, give him a few spots under green flag circumstances, and he could be right there. And look at it, he sees 2 spots up for grabs right ahead of him.
Yep, he does there. He's closing in kind of quick here. He is going to give Ryan Hedrick a little bit of the business there, but also going to mess up his corner entrance. He had a really strong long-run car last week. As you see him, he finally blinks again, comes back into existence. But yeah, he's got to play that patience card a little bit more. You can't be applying the bumper just past halfway here. You're going to upset some drivers or may not give you the respect later on the run. Jose's got a fast car, but you really just do the Richie Coy approach and just take your time. You will get there. Just don't be too aggressive with it.
Well, we're going to find out and see if Jose Acosta can get up to the front as he looks to the inside of Ryan Hedrick. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to bring you all the way to the finish here from Martinsville. Don't go anywhere. This is the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series on LSRTV.
Years of speed, 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Welcome back to LSRTV's coverage of the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series for the FTSR Series. Jason Rockefeller, Jeremy Stanley, and Charles Wooten, the man down in Texas, pushing all the buttons tonight, up here in the booth with you all here tonight on this lovely Monday evening. Hope you all are having a good one. Hope your weekend was good. Hope your Easter last week was good as well. I didn't mention that already too. Still working on lap 155, still under the green flag conditions as Nathan Bigart continues his dominant race lead so far here tonight, leading over Daniel Simmons by just a little over 0.8 of a second, and he keeps on going up. Joseph Grajava in third, Tracy fourth, Jose Acosta is now up to fifth, and then Jamie Knopp, Ryan Hedrick, Richie Coy, Kyle Milliken, Colton Gum round out your top 10 for the time being. And Jeremy, we mentioned earlier, obviously, this race is not like what you saw in yesterday's Global Racing League. It's not like what we saw here on Wednesday in the Truck Series. Still some cautions, but lots of great racing overall, but a few moments where there probably should have been a caution.
Yeah, I'm still scratching my head on the Bill Hole incident there on the front straightaway. Spins it in front of everybody, right? And there's no excuse for iRacing not to throw the caution. But thankfully, it didn't really cause anyone issues except for the person on your screen, the 19. Later reaction than most other drivers getting through it. A little too much rear brake in that setup. Sends him to the outside wall in the entrance of turn 1. And he's recovered from 12th to 7th, so he's up 5 spots from that. But overall, the delta, he's lost. He was 6.5 to 7. This time by, he's 7.8 back of your race leader, Nathan Bigart. So it's really become Bigart versus Simmons up to this point, which, look at that gap, Jason. Simmons has closed it to almost a half a second. So I mentioned the 01 and 19 being my picks. Well, maybe I shouldn't have left the 06 out of the picture.
Yeah, Daniel Simmons is slowly creeping his way up now towards Nathan Bigart. It was about a second a few laps ago. It has now been cut down to 0.6 of a second. And remember, Jeremy, Nathan Bigart elected at the end of stage 2 to come in and take 2 tires compared to everybody else who took 4, except Joseph Grajava, who's also on 2 tires. But you even start to see him now fading away just a little bit. So this long run pace, remember we saw Joey Logano do it yesterday in the Cup Series race. Took 2 tires at the end of stage 2, just could not get it done, and gave it to Denny Hamlin, I believe it was. And Daniel Simmons seemingly trying to get up to the front, and he has almost caught the 01.
And right in front of them, they got a bunch of lap traffic as well. They're even 2 wide, just a little bit further up ahead in the very next set of corners. So this is going to change this complexity of the race a little bit here. It's going to bring in the 12 of Grijalva. He's 2 seconds back. He might be a second and a half before they get around some of these guys. So now it's going to be the talent of how do I drive around the lap traffic the most efficiently, maybe set up a pick of some kind to keep a driver behind me. But here we go. We're into the thick of it here. James Torrey on the outside of Nathan Bigart down the back straightaway. We're going to right on board the 0-6 here. Daniel Simmons, he's going to pass Ben Tracy on the inside of 3 and 4. Little tire spin. He's going to lose about a tenth or so on that exit corner.
And notice, Jeremy, remember earlier in the race when we were talking about how Bill Hull wasn't shifting? Some guys just don't like doing that. Look at the gears. 4th, brake, 3rd, let the car roll, ease off the brake, get back to the throttle, and right until he gets about right here to this next logo, there you go. Shifts up to 4th. So the 06 of Daniel Simmons is shifting like they were obviously in the Cup Series race yesterday. A few other drivers didn't want to. And it's really, honestly, Jeremy, you kind of have to do it when you come to these short tracks now with the Gen 7 cars. But some drivers just don't do it. Kyle Larson last week at Richmond just did not want to shift down. Said, I can't do it. It's not my style. But he's won short track. So it's really, I feel like you have to do it. But at the same time, it's a driver preference thing.
Yeah, I mean, the end result is you need to perform at your best that you can and finish in the best spot for your team, right? And so you don't like to do it. Nobody likes to do it. But if the option is there that makes your car faster, you're going to have to access that part of the car, which is the 4th and 5th gear transmission shifts, or 3rd and 4th, however they have it, their open setups tackled here around this half-mile track. And so it's not fun. It's really not, and it takes away some of the power. Jose is not going to the bottom. He's going to roughhouse the 35 between the wall and the 35, squeeze the gap, and he's going to make the pass happen on the outside for whatever reason. Strong car here by Jose Acosta, but this is 4th position. This is 4th and 5th door bumper tag there, and it's going to set the 24 back behind the 35.
And you could just imagine that Ben Tracy was probably not that happy with the 24 as you see the 48 of Jamie Knopf use up the 24 on corner exit just a little bit. And Richie Coy waiting back in the wings as well behind them, slowly starting to make his way back up. Despite that right front damage, you could probably say, Jeremy, there was no gap there in between the wall and the 35 for the 24 to make. But, man, I said it once, I'm going to say it again. When I compare these drivers in the sim to real drivers, I think of Jose Acosta as the Ross Chastain of the Full Throttle Sim Racing Series. And, I mean, just the way he drives, he's the hardest guy on the track to pass. He's also probably, you could arguably say, the most aggressive driver out here, but he wins races. And you know, there's times where, obviously, his aggression kind of, and you almost see him right there, like I'm talking about. He just came right down in front of Richie Coy, chopped him off. Richie's probably not going to be happy with that, but hence what I just said was just shown. He's just a really aggressive driver.
And I cannot argue with you on that. That's a great reference. Jose Acosta, I see him as well as Ross Chastain if we're going to go to that route. Great comparison. He's a fast driver, fast car, maybe uses that bumper a little bit more than some other drivers would like. But, you know, doing something like that, it makes you more popular. And he's doing it for his team, man. He's going to get the best finish possible. He's not here to make friends per se. You want to be, you know, friendly, but at the end of the day, you're here to pick up a W, and sometimes you got to do things to get that result.
I wonder if he wants to get this result. Not saying it's legal here in this series because I've never seen it, but imagine if he was in second, coming to 3 and 4 in the last lap, saw the lead in his grasp and elected to do the Hail Melon. I don't remember if it works here on the service. I know that a few people, especially iRacing, tested it after the Hail Melon happened at the end of 2022. Obviously, Ross Chastain making that a viral sensation for NASCAR in general. And after that race, it was deemed illegal. We were not allowed to do it. They made dang sure of it, especially going into the championship race. Ross Chastain able to make the Final Four. unfortunately does not win the championship, went to Joey Logano, but the very next year he went back, was able to hold off Ryan Blaney and become the first driver since 2013 to win the finale race that was not a driver who was in contention for a points win that was for the championship. So, interesting fact there. And obviously the 24 Jose Acosta, he was 5th. Myers back in the 6th spot, still doing a great job here. But we've seen Daniel Simmons, he's kind of, I think, laid back, Jeremy. I don't know if it's just been a difficult scenario for him to pass Nathan Bigart, but the gap has maintained at about this stretch since the last time we talked about him.
Yeah, could be a combination of just kind of taking it easy on the tires. Tons of time left in this race. We got 70 to go at the line. And he's closing in slowly but surely, but literally no pressure. We got one more green flag pit stop if they go green the rest of the way. So you could use that time to capitalize the pass without actually making the pass on track. But he's got the fast car. We clearly can see that he caught him slowly. Now he's maintaining. He's inching closer. He's within that bubble now. 1 car length separates these two here. 2.5 back is the number 12 in 3rd place. And then you have Ben Tracy and Jamie Knopp that are 6.5 back. So no pressure from behind. Just kind of weaving through traffic here. So I think he's just taking his time there.
And Jeremy, I think if you were to see these guys, and I'm going to bring up what Larry Mack said in yesterday's race for the final stage, I think if you were to see these guys pit, they're going to have to split the stage in half because obviously we ended at lap 100, for the stage break. So that meaning they had 150 laps to go. So they're probably going to pit around more than likely, I would say, probably lap 125, maybe lap 110, not lap 110 rather, but 210, maybe 200. You'd kind of have to split the stage in half, or even coming up soon. This is the thing, we don't really know, because, as broadcasters here, and the way that the iRacing league races have gone here, it's been caution races where we didn't see green flag pit stops come into play, so it's really out the window right now as to when these guys are going to pit. But if I had to estimate, I'd probably say somewhere around the lap 190 to probably like 210 mark.
Yeah, I would say it's a good spot there. It's going to put them about 40 laps to go on the set of tires. They might do a little shortcut. They're well within the fuel window, right? So at any point in time, you can try it. This might be a little bit too early in the run, but we'll have to see. Strategy plays a factor at Martinsville.
65 laps to go, 40 minutes remaining on the clock, so they are on a time schedule, but they should be able to be okay and make it for the completion of this race. You see Daniel Simmons still trying to find a way around this 0-1 of Nathan Bigart. He just keeps getting really loose off these corners like you saw him there in turn 4. He also did it a few laps ago. They can't exactly get to Kyle Milliken. Kyle still has enough speed in the race car to where these guys are not catching him as quickly. Obviously, dirty air being a big factor here on these short tracks now with the Gen 7 race cars. So we'll have to see. And obviously, coming into tonight, Nate Bigart was the one who told me. He said fuel run was looking to be around excuse me. Oh, as you see, Kyle Milliken get loose in front of the 0-1. This is going to be a pick. Here comes Daniel Simmons to the bottom. Will he back out? He does, and that might be something that possibly saves him the race. Could have been contact and going around into turn number 3. Learned his lesson from many, many laps ago when he got into the corner hot. Spun out on Richie Coy. On the inside of him, fell back from 2nd to 7th, but able to come back and now running in the 2nd spot. But obviously, these guys, like Nathan Bigart told me earlier, they can run about 140 laps on fuel, but the tires, Jeremy, the tires cannot go as long as the fuel runs, so that's why you're going to see these guys probably pit within these next 20 laps.
Yeah, absolutely there, and it was a good mention in our ear by Charles to tell us about the time frame, but these guys have ran such a long green flag run at this point. I don't think it's going to be a concern, but if they start railing off caution after caution after caution, then all of a sudden we might be in that window. But these guys are doing great. They recognize that situation as well. Great move there by Richie to try to get everything it could, but it almost came into the 24's back bumper. But this is Coy trying to make advancements. He's been stuck in 7th place for a while, ever since he got shuffled out. And he's finally in a spot now where he can pick off a couple drivers here right in front of him.
Jeremy, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but remember what happened a few laps ago between the 24 and the 19 and how Acosta came right in front of him? Well, I think the last 2 laps now, maybe even make it 3 here. We'll see what happens down to 1. Richie Coy has been super aggressive getting down in there. Nearly took the 24 out a few times. I don't know if he's just really being aggressive under braking or he's trying to send a message to Jose Acosta. But I think Richie Coy is really hot under the collar right now. And this very well could be an incident in the making.
It very well could. We'll have to see as he is struggling to get there. I think Jose has the faster car. He's just being throttled up by Jamie Knopp and Ben Tracy here, which are also for position 5th and 4th place. Richie has used up his tires, though, to get from 12th back to 7th. You can tell in corner exit he just does not have the grip. He's spinning the tires around corner exit. He's overshooting the center of the corner. Can't get the throttle down until far exit. Then he gets loose like that almost every single time. So he's just struggling for grip. But if he can get to that bumper, there might be something for him.
And you see him really overdriving it going into turn 1, but he overdrives it just not to the point to where he's going to overshoot the corner. He gets there, but the car kind of travels up the racetrack once he gets to the center. But it still rolls good enough. I think if he could just back up his entry a little bit, he'll be able to get there. I just see him nearly get to the 24 on the inside of him there off turn number 4. They are nose to tail with Jamie Knopp and Ben Tracy, who is, by the way, had a stellar night in that 35 machine. Started back outside the top 10, around the 15th position. He's already up 11 spots. Ben Tracy doing such a great job here. And when you look at Ben Tracy here, no top 5s. I don't even think he's got a top 10 ranked up on the board here. Let me just check just for a second. And that would be right here as I'm looking at Ben Tracy. He's got 1 top 10 to his name so far this season. No top 5s. This would probably feel like a win in his book, Jeremy, if he were able to get into this top 5 and stay right where he is. But I mean, depending on how this race goes, these next 51 laps, he could contend for this win possibly.
Very possible here. I'm just kind of waiting to see when Richie Coy gets to the position here to get himself into the top 5. Does he have himself cooled down enough to just keep it calm and pass, or does 24's bumper get used up a little bit? Huge. Look at this line of cars here on the back straightaway. They're just all within 2 car lengths of one another. This is about to get dicey as we're getting really close to that pit window you mentioned about 10 laps ago. So who's going to make the first move here? If I'm the 19 or the 24 who knows they're faster but being held up, maybe this is the perfect time to shortcut. The traffic's holding you up, so you might as well just come down pit road and get those fresh Goodyears right now.
I couldn't agree more, Jeremy. We saw it work with William Byron in yesterday's Cup Series race. Remember, he was running inside the top 5, elected to come a lap earlier, and that second of fall off helped him. And with the second gained on those newer tires, he was able to pass. And here we go, battle for the lead shaping up. Daniel Simmons all over the back bumper of Nathan Bigart, kind of overdrives 1 and 2. Kind of tries the diamond effect off the corner, gets a great launch on the exit, down the back straightaway, doesn't get there just quite here with less than 50 laps to go. It's still Nathan Bigart holding the lead, and again, we're approaching that pit window here. I said around lap 190 to 210. It might go a little bit further, but it's approaching, and it's looming in the distance.
We do know they have to come down pit road. That is for certain. But just the question is when. How do you do it to have it affect your run in the most positive manner? And we're talking about maybe shortcutting if you're stuck in the back half of a pack that's slowing you down. But if you're the race leader like Nathan Bigart, do you just wait until you're the last car to guarantee if there's a caution you're not going to go a lap down? Because when you do pit, you do go a whole lap down and then some. So if you're the 01, the 06, maybe the 12 or the 35, you just kind of hang tight until everyone else makes their pit stop, and everybody else, it's just up to them to maximize their runs.
That's a great point there, Jeremy, obviously, and it costed some guys the race yesterday who were banking on a caution. You think about drivers like Martin Truex Jr., for example, who was running up at the front, got off cycle, and then had to run it longer, was hoping for a late race caution. It did not come, so he had to get down pit road, ended up finishing outside the top 15, I think it was, or at least the top 10. Did not work in his favor, so we'll have to see. If you're the 01 of Nathan Bigart, I honestly think, Jeremy, you should probably try to be the first one on pit road. But if you see somebody come to the pit road, you best better come down pit road next time around, because you know that once that happens, the whole window goes wide open. The door is now off the hinges. You got to come down pit road. Everybody is going to want to, be down pit road, get the advantage on those fresh extra Goodyear tires. Still, though, we're just waiting to see when it's going to happen here. You see Jose Costa. He's been able to get around Jamie Knapp. Richie Coy trapped behind him there in the 7th spot. And these guys duke it out for the lead. We're on lap 210, so pit stop should be coming up any moment. I mean, for all we know, these guys might even try to make it the full distance. I can't see that happening personally. But, Jeremy, we've seen crazier things. We've already got some guys who obviously have come into the pits, I believe. Looking at the pits, and no, actually, we've put 10. We only have 9 cars right now on the lead lap, so the window is narrowing very, very shortly to see who's going to come to pit road and take advantage of these tires.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy things. I don't think that field window goes the distance. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. That's just way too many laps. It's been 60 laps, something like that right now, roughly 60, 70. I'm just guessing at this point, but that's too much time on the track for the fuel tank. So tires are going to be shot. We're going to see the meatball starting to pop up before we're going to see that tank dry out, like you said earlier. And these guys are going to have to come down pit road, but they're past that 210 mark that you mentioned. So it's just, I don't know. It's coming down to the nitty-gritty at this point. They could very well surprise us, like you've talked about here, is the 01's going to run the 33. And Daniel Simmons doing a great job just playing the patient card, waiting behind Nathan to see if anything happens to him.
Yeah, and I mean, the only reason I said lap 190 to 210 was because that was probably the window where you would try to cut this final stage and have to come to the pits. You see one driver getting offline right there next to Joseph Rahava, who is also doing a great job, and he's one of those drivers like Nathan Bigart. The only 2 drivers out here on 2 tires. They're making it work, and I just think it's so amazing that Nathan Bigart has been able to hold this race lead. Yes, there's a few factors. He has clean air. He's the race leader. It's really hard to pass here with these Gen 7 cars, with the shifting and everything like that, and just the amount of grip these tires and these cars have. So it's interesting. But we'll see what happens. I know one driver just came down to the pit road. Dave Nestor finally came down to the pit road, but you saw him severely off the pace. He's 2 laps down, going to go probably 3 or 4 here. But this window, like we talked about, narrowing. The fuel run can only go 140 laps. We restarted a little after lap 100. So this fuel, it's looking like it's going to be tight, Jeremy, if they were to try to run it to the end. But like I mentioned, we've seen crazier things. I would not be shocked if somebody tried in this top 8, with the 8 drivers still remaining on the lead lap, to stay out the entire distance and maybe save some fuel.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of keep a track of the lap times and see where they fall. They're still running 19 or 20-second laps, 20.4, 20.3 for your race leader last time by, which is just 1 second off of their fastest lap time of the night. So that tells me that's just natural tire fall off here at Martinsville. But that's not me, looking at notebooks and seeing what their optimal lap time is 100 laps into a run. So we can only guess here. And Nathan can't let too much go. He's got Daniel Simmons right behind him. So as much as he would try to want to save, Nathan's on your heels here, ready to pounce. And this is the toughest part of racing, is when you need to save, or if you want to save, well, you have a strong competition directly behind you. What is the right call? Who knows?
You see him getting a little bit wider there in the corner. And notice, just like in yesterday's Cup race, this groove is kind of widened out a little bit. There's a little bit more rubber now in that second groove compared to what it was earlier in the race. So the rubber is being laid down for sure, no doubt about it. Inside lane, still the dominant way to go around this racetrack. And you see that 31 of Jeff Chandler. He's multiple laps down. He's elected to now come down to the pit lane. Not going to be a factor, obviously. Still 8 cars on this lead lap here with just a handful of laps to go. Still some great battles, but again, so hard to pass. There's Jose Acosta. He's gotten by Ben Tracy. The 19 of Richie Coy, man. Jeremy, he is a man on a mission. They're working around TJ Bartel off turn number 2. But Richie is 1 spot shy of getting back inside this top 5 and possibly a contender if the caution were to come out.
Yeah, he is so close here to cracking this top 5, which he has been in the most part of this race. It took that Bill Hole 51 incident on the front straightaway, which we still don't know why there wasn't a caution for it. But that's what set him back, and he's almost there. He's almost redeemed himself entirely. We see that Jose Acosta, he has the track space now in front of him to try to make up where he can. But yeah, now this is for what the 19's been through. This is a great situation to recover from.
Here's a good point. I wonder if maybe the 06 of Daniel Simmons is also saving, like the 01 of Nathan Bigard. Maybe Jeremy, maybe we're both wrong. Maybe they can actually make it the full distance because of the amount of braking and off throttle time they do here at Martinsville. That maybe they can't make this distance, because again, 140 laps was the fuel run. Nathan Bigart told me we restarted just shy over 100 laps, obviously, so they had a little bit more than 140 laps to go until the end of this final segment, this third stage. The fuel run looks tight, but again, it's coming to me now, the fact that these guys have so much off throttle time going into the corners in 1, 2, 3, and 4, that they might be able to make it on fuel. And I wonder if this 06 of Daniel Simmons is just saving enough to give that one last good push with like 15, maybe 10 laps to go.
And they very well could. That's an excellent question. Of course, they pit at the same time on the last caution break, so they both could be looking at their numbers simultaneously and going, you know what, I need to do this, I need to do that. They're still running 20.3s, 20.4s that last lap by, so I don't see it by the numbers. But if you're sitting in the seat and you got your relative F3 box, you got your F4, your F5 keys, or if you got one of the iRacing iFlag control boxes or pit boards, whatever you got there that's kind of assisting you, or an overlay that's telling you, hey, you need to save 2 laps, you need to save 3 laps. That's not much of a savings. If you can save 3 laps amongst 80 lap run, that's easy. Just shave off 1/10 here, 1/10 there, and you can make it happen. That's very well what the 01 and 06 could be doing with everybody else here in the top 5.
And with 20 laps to go, Nathan Bigard's doing a great job here, just wrapping around the bottom lane. Daniel Simmons still trying to work on that outside. And Charles, let's see real quick here if we can go on board possibly on the in-car camera and see the dash of Nathan Bigard. I just want to see maybe if he's saving a little bit of tire by not shifting in the corners, because we see the 06 is so strong getting in, and the 01 is shifting. So Bigard is shifting here, not saving those rears, and it's important to notice that, because obviously the higher the RPM, the more tire spin you're going to have in a gear like third. So it creates tire wear, Jeremy, and usually you would see most guys at road courses downshift either wait later in a run going into the corner, and then coming off the corner they typically upshift earlier to save tires. But this 3 is running just like a regular race right now, upshifting at the right points he needs to, downshifting at the right points he needs to. I think he's going full out right now.
Yeah, with the shifting into third gear, that tells me there is no fuel saving to be had, and I guess they can make it. So now with 17, now 16 to go, the question is, it's not a fuel conservation, it's now, does Daniel have the car or the tire to get to Nathan Bigart as he gets a little loose there as soon as we pan the camera away from the 06, focusing on this really tight battle here for 4th, 5th, and 6th. This is top 5 stat. Ben Tracy a little loose starting corner exit this time. And, yeah, just showing some love here for this race. Of course, 1 and 2 are very important, right? But this 4th, 5th, and 6th, that's a top 5 spot on the tally mark on this boards. Here comes Ricky Boy, gonna muscle his way around Ben Tracy. And Charles, great job moving the cameras over at the right time there.
Yeah, and it looks like Richie Coy has about had enough with tonight. I think his goal probably is just to make sure he can get inside this top 5. Oh, no! 1 car around. Dave Nestor off turn number 2. No caution. Keeps it straight, but he's going to be right in the path of Coy and Tracy as they work off the corner. Richie Coy, oh my goodness, he has got to be madder than mad right now. For sure. No doubt about it. This guy has had top 3, possibly winning speed all night. Had that contact after the Bill Hull incident. Jose Acosta then chopped him off. He's been trying his hardest to get into the top 5. Now falls back to 6th. And he's going to have a lot of work to do here with just 11.5 laps to go this time to catch Ben Tracy, who was hanging on to that 5th spot while Jose Acosta got up into 4th. And again, Jeremy, we talk about cautions. We haven't seen a ton of them here tonight. But it's a possibility. The Cup Series race yesterday evening went into overtime after John Hunter Nemechek blew a right front going into 3 and 4 with just a lap and a half to go. Always that possibility of a late race restart or possibly even overtime.
It is not over until that one lady sings. That's for sure. And yeah, no, we were not going to have a brake failure this time in turn 3 from the 42. But, you know, it's the sim world, so a brake failure could equate to maybe the 24 having a complete internet failure or whatever the case is. Yeah, it's not over, but the minus 4th, 5th, and 6th running so tight and having that little issue there with Richie Coy, the rest of the field's been clean. So it's going to take a lot from the iRacing control box to go caution. Whenever, you know, we had someone spun out in the front straightaway, they didn't throw it in. So it's going to take a lot for them to throw another yellow.
Yeah, definitely going to take a lot for them to throw it. And you see Nathan Bigart has been able to pull out ahead of Daniel Simmons by now over a second as they come off turn 4 this time to hit 7 laps remaining up on the board. Kyle Milliken, the only car that separates the two, being 1 lap down in the 13th position. Quiet night for Kyle Milliken, despite the 1 spin on the front straightaway that he was able to save. Probably the best save of the evening. He'll let the 06 of Daniel Simmons by, and look at the gap that Daniel Simmons was able to close, gain 4 tenths in 2 corners on Bigart. Time is running out. 6 laps to go, Jeremy. If the 06 is going to do anything, he's got to do it now.
He doesn't have the car. He's lost it here. He maintained so well up until this point. He's spent it too much, and now with 5 laps to go, it's going to take a mistake from Nathan to have this lead swap, unless there's a caution. So we're not going to count for that. We're just going to see just on pure performance. Nathan's car looks more sturdy going through the corners. I don't see any issues with this 0-1, and he's had to hit his marks here, and he's going to get this checkered flag, I do believe.
Oh, and he's going to be trapped right here behind the 37 of Brian Dublé. Daniel Simmons closes the gap. The 0-1 has to lift just a tiny bit. Simmons might be able to close here down to 3 and 4.
A little bit of a hiccup there behind the 37. Brought Daniel Simmons back into the picture. 3 laps to go this time. 1 car length of gap. 1 and 2. Looks like Nathan able to hug the curbing way better. Going to extend it to a 3 car length advantage down the back straightaway.
2 laps to go. This time by, and Daniel Simmons is hungry for another win in FTSR. No wins up on the board this season, and he can sense it, smell it, right in front of him. And Nathan Bigart starting to pull away just a little bit. He's already got 1 win, one a couple weeks ago at Circuit of the Americas, and he's going to have less than a mile to go here. White flags in the air, 1 lap to go from Martinsville as Simmons gets loose off the corner. All Bigart needs to do is maintain 4 good corners, and he will win here at Martinsville as he works off turn number 2. It's been an eventful night. Fell back to 5th. Took 2 tires in the pits like Joey Logano. It did not work for Logano yesterday, but today it's going to work for Nathan Bigart. He wins the Martinsville 250 in Martinsville, Virginia. Daniel Simmons will come home second. Joseph Grajava will finish a respectable P3. Jose Acosta fourth. Ben Tracy, your top five. And Jeremy, I cannot believe that this call on the 01 machine worked here tonight.
It did wonderfully. He's the third multi-winner out of 8 races here in the 2024 A season. So congrats on that. And of course, he's your points leader. Came in up 73 points over that car he finished directly in front of the 06 Daniel Simmons. 73 points ahead. Is going to increase that by just a little bit more here. So great assurance coming to the later half of this season, as we got 5 or 6 races left. And he's going to burn it down there on the pit stretch wall. Great. I love these burnouts. Just cause all the smoke.
And he is going to burn it down there in that Fuego Autosport machine with the 01. Let's take a look here at your unofficial race results presented by LiveSimRacingTV.com. Nathan Bigart picks up that second win of the season. Daniel Simmons comes home in second, still looking for that first win of the year. Joseph Grajava, like we mentioned, really respectable finish in P3. Jose Acosta drives nearly all the way from the back to fourth. Ben Tracy, an astounding night tonight. First top 5 of the year for the driver, the 35. Richie Coy, heartbreaker for him, still able to maintain top 10, finishes 6th. Jamie Knopf, Ryan Hedrick gets another top 10 here in Martinsville. Sherwood Williford, an eventful night, comes home 9th, and Colton Gum, the number 10 machine, finishes in the 10th spot.
11th through 20th, we got James Wallace in the 67, Brian Dublay in the 37. 13th place, Kyle Milliken. 14th will be James Torrey. 15th place will be the 57 to Joshua Johnson, and Alan Crowell moves up 11 spots to find himself in 16th. 17th, number 7 of Wayne Grossi, with Dave Nestor in 18th. 19th, TJ Bartel, and your 20th place finisher, the 31, Jeff Chandler.
Rest of your 27 car lineup, Tony Solari, heartbreaker for him here tonight, like most of these drivers in the back. Bill Hull, Brian Bliss, Colby Mice started strong, finishes poorly in the 24th spot. Michael Blackner, who was a turtle on its shell at one point, coming off turn number 2, ended up upside down on corner exit after a hard hit to the outside wall. Alan Duranco comes in 26th. And Verdi Hanna qualified, well, really didn't qualify. Started last, he'll finish last in the 27th spot. We're going to wrangle up our top 3. We're going to talk to them here in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be the conclusion of LSRTV's coverage of the Full Throttle Sim Racing Mach 1 Performance Cup Series. We'll be right back with post-race interviews. Welcome back to post-race coverage, as we're going to cover the top 3 finishers from tonight here in the Martinsville 250. Starting with driver who finishes in 3rd tonight. Great run, Joseph Grajava, man. It was an eventful one tonight. You started 3rd, you finished 3rd. Can't really be happy. Can't be too mad about that as well, though.
Hey, buddy, there's nothing wrong with the top 3, and at the track rematch, sheesh, I'll take my first podium with LSRTV here any day.
Sorry about that, connection issues there, man. Yeah, great run whatsoever. Your car, definitely top 5 material. Is there anything you could have done differently with your car there to advance maybe into the 1st or 2nd spot there?
I think just fatigue got me at the end. Was getting real tired. Wrists were hurting. I have a bad habit of death gripping the wheel, so I do it to myself. But I wouldn't trade it at all. Just try and clean up the mistakes there. I could keep pace with Nate and Daniel for sure. Just some mistakes, tiny here and there, they compound, and there you go. But I'm happy overall.
And Joseph, after finishing third here tonight, man, who do you got to thank for this awesome run here at the Paperclip tonight?
Hey, I need to thank you guys for putting the show on. This is great. The field, for one, I've been on iRacing like 11 years, and I've not had a race at Martinsville run this green. I think we had like 2 cautions, not counting the stage breaks. That's crazy, or something like that. Um, I mean, I'll take it. These guys are great. This is the best league on iRacing, hands down. I've never ran a race like that on Martinsville. Of course, my teammate Nate, we were in the Discord there, helping each other during the run, and congrats to him for picking up the win, holding on to it from the pressure from Daniel there, and of course my dad always supporting me, the wife, kids, and can't forget the car sponsor, BKA El Paso Motorsports Kart Racing Club. Look them up on Facebook. Give them a like. It's where I started karting on a flat surface. So these kind of tracks kind of come to my taste there. A little tricky and weird. So please give them a like. It grows the club. It helps us local karting. It's big on family, things like that. Entry level racing. Please help us out, and hopefully we'll be here next week.
That's Joseph Rahava after an ecstatic third place run here tonight from the Paperclip. Now we'll move over to second place. Daniel Simmons, the first loser of the night, but ultimately you finished podium. More towards that championship run, obviously. I know you're still searching for that first victory, man. What is it going to take to finally see in victory lane this season?
Yeah, a little bit of luck, I think. Thought we was setting pretty good right there when I started kind of running Nate down, but I mean, when I got there, I was kind of out of control. It looked like he was, and had a couple openings right there, but I felt like if I put it in there, it's probably going to hop us both out. So figured second was better than 20th. So move on to another day, I guess.
Yeah, great call for sure there. And yeah, it took you a little bit to get back to P2. When you got there, I thought when you caught him, I thought you were going to, make a run for it, but then you played the patience card a little bit, and then we were like, okay, they're just saving him. But then, no, that wasn't the case. So to about like 40, 50 laps to go, and you're just following. Were you trying to save, or were you just having a tough time to maybe make a move to get to the race lead?
The beginning of that last run, I was kind of saving. He kind of checked out on me, and I run him back down, and when I got there, I don't know, about the last 40 or 50 to go, I could kind of see he'd get out of shape a little bit up off the corners, but it just so happened mine would get out of shape the lap before, so when his got out of shape, I couldn't capitalize on it. But not at the end, I was trying to give it all I could get, but just wasn't enough. Didn't have a right rear left on it.
Well, man, I'm sure that win's going to come here pretty soon with the speed you've had. But with the speed you had here tonight, man, finishing second, who do you got to thank for this awesome run tonight?
Yeah, man, I got to thank Team Connie for the setups. They're doing really well over there. Also got to thank Jamie Knopf and Ben Tracy. They jumped on a few days ago, and we kind of tested a little bit, run some laps. So kind of, I think we all kind of struggle here. So it was a pretty good night for us. I feel like, I think we all ended up in the top 10. So we'll take it.
There you go. There's Daniel Simmons coming home the bridesmaid, but that first win is right in the distance. He's just got to go out and grab it. Now we'll head over to Victory Lane, presented by Victory Fuel. Remember, if you go to drinkvictory.com, use code KOI19 at checkout, you can save 10% off your order. And Nate Bigart, a winner yet again here. Only took you a couple more weeks, man, to get that second win. 2 tires. Very surprising call. Me and Jeremy both didn't think it was going to work out, man, but it did. And it amazed me how you were able to hang on to it and bring home the victory.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I wasn't sure it was going to work either. Like, I was kind of expecting a caution like 50, 60 laps into that run. Again, what Joe was saying, hats off to the drivers this league for running that long of a green flag run at Martinsville, this many cars on the track. You just don't get that. Shows a lot of respect, a lot of talent, and definitely very excited to be a part of this league now. Seeing stuff like this is just awesome. But yeah, you know what? I took 4 on the first stage, and they don't wear too bad. So I was like, well, I'll take 2 here because track position definitely played a big role. I think, like, depending on who was in front, it seemed to be they stayed there. You know, whether I led the first stage and then Richie got in front of me and drive as hard as I could. You couldn't make a move on him. And then same thing at the end with me and Daniel. You know, we were both driving the wheels off of it, but I had I had a feeling that as long as I didn't make too big of a mistake, it was going to be hard for him to get to my bumper. You know, they can get. It seems like you can get to that like 3/10 gap, but it stalls out for some reason right there. But absolutely happy to get my first win on the oval series. You know, in this series. My previous one was on the road course, so this feels great. Martinsville is a fantastic track. I love it. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, you're the third multi-winner of the 2024 A season, extending that point lead over 73. Probably going to be up around 80 points or so after they calculate the thing. But man, yeah, just great drive. I questioned that second stage ending there where you took the 2 tires, and I was like, well, I know he's in the seat and I'm up here in the booth, so it's a little bit different. And my strategies never work out for me. So obviously you knew what you were doing. Track position was king. It definitely worked for you very well. I guess that goes to the preparation prior to this race. I called a race last night that was 20 cautions, and then I've called multiple races here at Martinsville. There are 15, 20 cautions deep. That was a very long, refreshing green flag run that you said. Did you plan for that in practice at all, or were you just planning for that setup to work on the short run?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I've never ran a Martinsville race like this before. Like every league I've been in, every official, it's like you said, you know, up towards the 20s of cautions, especially if you got to run over 200 laps. Like it's just people struggle to be patient here, but obviously, like I said, a lot of respect, a lot of talent, great league to run in. I had no idea we were going to get that long of a run. That's basically why I took the 2 tires, figuring we weren't going to run 150 laps green. But my wheelbase is on fire. I don't think it's ever been this warm after a race. It needs a break. But, man, that's just awesome. I'm very excited.
And Nate, with that being said, man, who do you got to thank for this awesome victory here tonight? Second win of the season, man. Congratulations.
Well, I got to thank my teammate and my team owner, Joseph Grahava. Give a shout out for him getting third. Great job, Joe. It's awesome to see me and him, you know, getting these top 5 finishes together. Him not wrecking out every week like in the beginning. So I know he's happy about it. I'm thrilled about it. Give a shout out to Fuego. Him sponsoring me. Appreciate that. I don't think you guys had it on the broadcast, but I got a new paint job. If we can get a refresh for next week, it'll be nice. You know, got the winner sticker on there. We're gonna have to put a second one on now. Shout out to LSRTV, the league themselves, the admins doing all the work, letting us come out and have fun here. All the fans watching, and my mom's watching live, so love you, Mom.
That's Nate Bigart. Always got to thank Mom after all these races, obviously. He is your winner here tonight at the Martinsville 250 down in Martinsville, Virginia, picking up the second win, like we mentioned. And Jeremy's going to bring us to a close here, man. What a race we saw here tonight. Not really plagued with as many cautions as what you witnessed last night in the Global Racing League and like we witnessed on Wednesday in the Truck Series here, man.
Yeah, I mean, we still had the eventfulness, right? We had a truck or a car upside down tonight. We saw a lot of weird things. We saw iRacing just not wanting to throw a caution, period, in one situation. A lot of different things, including over 100 laps of a continual green flag run. So great mix of everything. I really appreciated that. I know FTSR always puts on a great performance. And so I'm not too surprised that we got a mix of everything. And man, that was a fun one to watch for sure.
And it definitely was a fun one. These guys will hit the Texas Motor Speedway, which waits in the wings next week. And we have another broadcast coming up here at 11:15 if you want to catch it. Round number 3 for the Northwest Racing Truck Series. Should be a fun one from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Always a good show. Those guys put on a great one. They put on a good show here tonight. And we saw a great finish as Texas 1 year ago. And it should be a great race next week in Texas for sure. Like Charles Wooten comes from Texas. But this is going to come to a close on tonight's broadcast. For everybody at LSRTV, Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten, Jeremy Stanley, FTSR for allowing us to do this. Victory Fuel for jumping on board for the series, reminding you to go to drinkvictory.com, use code KOI19 at checkout, save 10% off your order. This is Jason Rockfell saying so long for Martinsville. We'll catch you 1 week for the mile and a half down in Texas.